I swear it started with nothing more than a knock on her door. My friend had told me his mom needed help fixing a leaky kitchen tap while he was out of town. I didn't think much of it. I'd done small repairs before, and she'd always been kind, polite, distant in that adult who's seen too much way. But when she opened the door that afternoon, it wasn't politeness that hit me first. It was the quiet. The kind that makes you aware of your own breathing. She looked different. Softer. Maybe tired. Her hair was tied up carelessly, a few strands falling along her cheek. She smiled, faint, almost hesitant. "Come in," she said. "It's dripping again. I've tried everything." I knelt by the sink, the metal cool beneath my hands, pretending I knew exactly what I was doing. She moved around behind me, slow, measured steps, the sound of her bare feet against the tile making the silence heavier. "Need light?" she asked. "Yeah, please." She leaned close, holding the flashlight over my shoulder. I could feel her breath near my neck, soft, warm, and suddenly the dripping tap wasn't the only thing unsteady in that kitchen. She smelled faintly like vanilla and something deeper, perfume she probably didn't mean to wear for me. Her voice, when she spoke again, came out quieter. "You're good with your hands," she said. Then, quickly, "I mean, you've done this before?" "Sometimes," I said, pretending to focus on the wrench, pretending my pulse wasn't in my throat. The pipe gave way with a soft click. I turned, smiling like an idiot. Fixed. Water ran clear, steady, obedient. I should have left right then. But she smiled back, small lines gathering near her eyes, and it wasn't the kind of smile you give a kid anymore. "You always help people like this?" she asked. "Only when they ask nicely." The words slipped out before I could stop them. Her gaze caught mine, not sharp, not scolding, just still. There was something behind her eyes, something that said she'd been careful too long, and suddenly I felt the weight of what wasn't being said. I stepped back, wiping my hands. "You should be good now." But she didn't move. The air between us tightened, like the world had paused, waiting to see who'd speak first. Then she exhaled softly, almost a laugh, almost a sigh. "My son told me you were good at fixing things," she murmured. "I didn't think he meant me." I froze. The room spun in slow motion, her voice, the dripping, the way her fingers brushed the edge of the counter, as if testing how far she could go. "Mrs. Hale, Emma," she corrected. Her name tasted different when I said it. "Emma." She stepped closer. Not enough to touch, but close enough that I could see the pulse at her throat, the small rise and fall that made her seem suddenly fragile. "Don't look at me like that," she whispered. "Like what?" "Like you understand something you shouldn't." The silence after that stretched too long. I could have laughed it off, made a joke, walked away. But I didn't. Outside, the afternoon light shifted, turning gold, then dim. She glanced toward the window, then back at me, as if she'd made a decision she wasn't ready to admit. And then she leaned in, her voice barely a breath. "If he finds out," she said, "it's over." I swallowed hard, the words settling somewhere deep, electric. She looked at me, eyes trembling, a hint of fear, and something else underneath it. "But don't stop," she added. And for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. I didn't leave. I told myself I was just checking the pipes one last time, making sure everything was sealed. But really, I was trying to calm the noise inside my head, the echo of her whisper, that mix of warning and invitation. Emma leaned against the counter, arms folded, watching me like she was trying to decide whether to apologize or double down. The light had faded, the kitchen now filled with that soft gray half-light that makes everything feel heavier than it is. "You didn't have to come," she said finally. "I could have called someone else." "Yeah," I said. "But you didn't." Her mouth twitched, not a smile, not quite guilt either. Just something caught in between. She nodded toward the small radio on the windowsill. "You can turn that on if you want. It's too quiet." I did. Static first, then an old song, one of those 90s ballads that somehow made the silence worse. She exhaled, almost a laugh. God, that's ancient, she said. I like it. I feel old. You don't look it. The words came out too easy. She looked at me, sharp this time, but didn't tell me to stop. Instead, she turned away, ran a hand through her hair. You shouldn't say things like that. Why not? Because you mean them. That stung a little, not because she was wrong, but because she was right. She'd been through a lot recently, that much I knew. Her husband had left last year. My friend never talked about it, but you could tell by the way she avoided mentioning his name. There were photos missing from the walls, faint outlines where frames used to hang. I noticed those things. The way she never turned on all the lights, as if the house didn't deserve brightness anymore. The way her hands shook slightly when she poured coffee. The way her voice softened whenever she said my name. I shouldn't have noticed. But I did. I didn't mean to make things weird, I said quietly. She turned back to me, studying me like I was something fragile. You didn't. I just. She hesitated, her throat tightening around the words. I just forget how easy it is to want something you shouldn't. That silence again, stretching, humming, thick with everything neither of us wanted to say. Outside, rain started tapping the window. Light, rhythmic, almost calming. But inside, my chest felt like it was being rewired, a slow, deliberate confusion. I should go, I said. You could stay a little longer, she murmured. Her tone wasn't commanding, it was tired, almost pleading. Just until the rain stops. I hesitated. Every part of me said no. Every part of me stayed still. She stepped closer, close enough that I could see the faint smudge of flour on her wrist, the pale scar along her collarbone. She reached out, barely touching my arm, her fingers lingering there, uncertain. Thank you, she said softly. For helping. For not judging. I looked down at her hand, then up at her. Emma, I said, my voice lower than I meant. You don't have to be alone tonight. Her eyes flickered, something between panic and relief. The rain hit harder against the glass. She didn't move her hand. And neither did I. The rain hadn't stopped. It only got louder, turning the house into a cage of soft thunder. Emma poured coffee for both of us, her hands steady now, as if she'd decided pretending normal was safer than facing whatever had almost happened between us. We sat across from each other at the small kitchen table, 2 mugs, 1 lamp, and a silence that kept reshaping itself. You're quiet, she said finally. You told me to stop saying things I mean. That was before. Before what? She looked down at her cup, her reflection rippling in the dark surface. Before it started to matter. That word, matter, it sat between us like a secret too fragile to name. I wanted to tell her I hadn't meant for any of this either. That I'd tried to see her as just my friend's mom, just another adult with a calm smile and a tidy house. But it wasn't true anymore. Every small detail about her was too loud in my head now, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous, how her laugh always came half a second late, like she had to remind herself it was allowed. I wanted to stop watching her. I couldn't. The clock ticked louder than it should have. Then, from the counter, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and froze. The name flashing on the screen made her lips tighten. It's him, she said quietly. Her son. My friend. She silenced the call, flipped the phone face down. He checks in every night. I nodded. My pulse didn't slow. The sound of rain filled the gap between us, and for the first time, I didn't know if it was protecting us or trapping us. He doesn't know you're here? I asked. She shook her head. He thinks I hate company. Do you? Not tonight. She looked at me then, really looked. It wasn't the kind of gaze that invites you in. It was the kind that pulls you apart without permission. Her hand brushed mine when she reached for the sugar. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe not. I didn't move. For a second, everything stopped, the rain, the ticking clock, even breath. Her fingers lingered against my skin just long enough for me to feel the tremor running through hers. I'm sorry, she whispered, drawing her hand back. I keep forgetting who you are. Then forget a little longer, I said before I could think. Her lips parted, not in surprise, but like she'd been waiting for someone to say it first. Before anything else could happen, another sound broke through, a knock at the door. We both froze. 3 slow knocks. Familiar. She looked toward the hallway, panic flickering across her face. Don't move, she whispered. Her hand found my wrist, her grip trembling. Please. Just stay quiet. I heard her footsteps retreating, the soft creak of the front door opening. A man's voice, low, uncertain. Her neighbor, maybe. I couldn't make out what they said, only the rhythm of it, polite small talk, laughter that didn't reach her eyes. Then silence again. When she came back, she leaned against the wall, eyes closed, rain still echoing outside. That was close. She breathed. Her pulse was still fast. So was mine. I stood up, taking one slow step toward her. Emma. She looked up, eyes dark, wide, alive. Don't, she whispered, but she didn't move away. And in that narrow hallway, with rain against the windows and her breath barely steady, I realized we weren't wondering if we'd crossed the line anymore. Only when. The knock faded, but the air never cleared. It stayed heavy, humming with everything we'd almost said. Emma moved back to the kitchen, but she didn't turn the lights on this time. Only the dull glow from the hallway framed her shoulders, the soft outline of someone trying to hold herself together. You should probably go, she said, voice low, before someone else shows up. I didn't move. Do you want me to? Her hands tightened on the counter. That's not the point. Then what is? The point is this. She turned, frustration in her voice, but not anger, something closer to fear. You're too young to understand what happens when people stop thinking. I'm not a kid. Then act like it. Maybe I am, I said quietly. But you're the one who keeps calling me back. That hit something. I saw it in the way her eyes softened, the way she blinked too slow, like she wanted to deny it but couldn't. She pressed her palms against the counter and exhaled through her nose. You don't know what it's like to be this lonely and still expected to smile. I didn't answer. I just stood there, waiting, because I finally understood what her silence had been saying all along. She stepped closer. You remind me of how it felt to be seen. I haven't felt that in a long time. Her honesty cut the air clean open. I see you, I said. And I meant it, more than anything I'd ever said to anyone. The distance between us disappeared in inches, not movement, just gravity. I could feel her warmth before she even reached me. This is wrong, she whispered, but her voice shook, betraying her. I know. Then why are you still here? Because every version of leaving felt like a lie. Before I could answer, her phone buzzed again, the sound slicing through the quiet like a warning bell. She stared at it, then at me. The name lit up once more. Her son. The color drained from her face. She picked it up but didn't answer. I can't do this, she said, but her hand didn't move from where it brushed against mine. The rain had stopped outside. Only the sound of the fridge humming filled the gap between words. I swallowed. Emma, what do you want me to do? She met my eyes, steady now, heartbreakingly steady. I don't know. I just know I can't unfeel this. We stood there, her phone still buzzing in her hand, the sound fading to silence. She looked at me like she was memorizing something, the shape of this moment before it broke apart. I wish you'd met me before all this, she said softly. And then she asked, almost to herself, if we hadn't met this way, would you still have looked at me like that? The question hung in the air, trembling, the kind of silence that changes everything. She didn't answer the question. She just turned away, set the phone down, and pressed her palms to the counter like she was trying to steady the room. I could still hear the echo of her words, I can't unfeel this. It should have been a warning. Instead, it felt like permission. Then her phone lit up again, not a call this time. A message. The name on the screen made my chest tighten. My name. She froze when she saw it too. It was from her son. Mom, did Ethan come by? He said he might help with the kitchen. Just checking. The world tilted. She looked at me, eyes wide, breath shallow. He knows you're here? I told him I'd stop by earlier, I said, voice low. I didn't think he'd. Her hand flew to her mouth. He'll think he won't, I said quickly. He doesn't know anything. But the tremor in her voice said otherwise. You don't understand how fast things spread. How quickly something innocent turns ugly. I wanted to tell her it wasn't innocent anymore. Not the way she looked at me, not the way my pulse jumped every time her voice softened. But before I could say anything, she turned, wiping at her eyes. This can't happen again, she whispered. It already did. Her eyes flashed toward me, hurt, then something softer. Don't make this harder. I'm not, I said, taking a step closer. But you can't pretend you don't feel it. I've spent years pretending, she said quietly. Pretending I wasn't falling apart, pretending I was fine for him, pretending I didn't need anyone. You think you're helping, but you're just… She stopped, catching her breath. You're reminding me what I buried. Her voice cracked, and the honesty in it hit me like a punch. I didn't mean to be that for you, I said. Yes, you did. The words landed hard. Not cruel, not accusing, just true. I looked at her, really looked, the tired eyes, the trembling hands, the woman who'd spent too long holding everything up alone. Then what are we supposed to do with this? I asked. Before she could answer, the phone buzzed again. Another message from her son. Don't worry, Mom. I'll come by tonight instead. Her face strained of color. Tonight? She looked around the kitchen, the mugs, the damp towels, the half-fixed faucet. All proof that I'd been here. We don't have time, she whispered. He can't see you. I'll go out the back, I said quickly. She moved toward the door, panic softening into something else, fear tangled with something deeper. Ethan. I turned. What? Her voice was barely a breath. You remind me of your father when he was your age. My heart stopped. What? Her eyes shimmered, regret, memory, ache all tangled together. He and we were close once. Before he married my best friend. The words hung there, rewriting everything between us, every glance, every almost touch, every silence that had felt like something new but wasn't. I didn't know, I said, barely a whisper. I know, she murmured. That's what makes it worse. Outside, a car pulled into the driveway. Headlights flickered across the window. She reached for my arm, desperate, trembling. Please! Go. I didn't move. My mind was spinning, heart torn between the woman in front of me and the ghost she'd just conjured. Emma! Her voice broke. If he finds out. She didn't have to finish. The sound of a car door slamming outside filled the silence that followed, a silence so heavy, it felt like the house itself was holding its breath. The knock came harder this time, 3 quick raps that cut through the silence like thunder. Emma's breath caught. I could see it, the way her chest lifted then stilled. Her eyes darted toward the door, then back at me, panic simmering under the surface. Go, she whispered, pushing at my arm, her voice trembling. He can't see you here. Emma, wait, please. Her tone wasn't sharp. It was pleading, soft, desperate, cracking open everything she'd been holding back. I stepped back, hands raised in surrender. But something in me wouldn't let go. Not after what she'd said. Not after the truth about my dad. You can't just drop that, I said quietly. You knew him? Her face changed, years of memory flickering behind her eyes. He was my first almost. The one that didn't happen because we both got scared. I didn't know whether to feel betrayed or sorry for her. Maybe both. And now me? I asked. What am I supposed to be? She didn't answer right away. She just stood there, one hand still on my chest, eyes searching mine for something neither of us could name. You were never supposed to mean this much, she whispered. I thought helping you would make me feel needed again. I didn't expect to feel alive. Her honesty hit harder than any confession. It wasn't love, not the kind you frame with promises. It was need. It was loneliness recognizing itself in someone else. Outside, another knock. Louder this time. Mom? It's me. Her son's voice. She flinched, eyes glistening. Ethan, please. She hissed, tears starting to slip down her cheek. Go. Now. But I couldn't move. Say it, I said softly. Say you don't feel it, and I'll leave. She shook her head, the smallest, saddest movement I'd ever seen. You already know I do. The air between us trembled, too full, too heavy. I reached up, brushing a tear from her cheek with my thumb. She didn't pull away. For a second, the world stopped, the rain outside, the footsteps on the porch, the sound of my heart crashing against my ribs. I'll go, I said finally. But not because I want to. She closed her eyes, nodding, her voice barely a whisper. Then go before I can't let you. The words broke something in both of us. I slipped out through the back door, the cool air hitting my face like a reset. The world smelled like wet asphalt and endings. From the kitchen window, I saw her silhouette, standing still, one hand pressed against the glass, the glow from the lamp catching the tear streaks down her face. The door opened inside. Her son's voice, faint. Hey, Mom, you okay? I couldn't hear her reply. Just the quiet murmur of a woman rebuilding her composure. I turned away, walking down the narrow path that led to the street. Each step felt like a confession I hadn't made. But halfway down, I stopped, because I realized something. What I felt wasn't just attraction. It was understanding. The kind that doesn't fade, even when it's wrong. And though I knew we'd both go back to pretending, I also knew the truth we shared would never leave either of us. Some connections don't end. They just learn how to stay quiet. I didn't see Emma again for weeks. Every time I passed her house, the curtains were drawn. The car sat in the same spot. The flowers near the porch had started to wilt. I told myself it was better that way. That distance was the only way to make what happened mean something instead of ruin everything. But some silences aren't empty. They echo. I thought about her every time the sky turned gray, or when the rain began, like it was reminding me of that night. How quiet it got between us. How close it came to being something that couldn't be taken back. I went back to class, to work, to normal conversations that didn't mean much. But nothing felt exactly the same. It wasn't guilt that followed me. It was the memory of being seen in a way that didn't feel performative. The way she looked at me like I was something real in a world that always asked for versions. One evening, about a month later, I ran into her at the grocery store. She was standing by the self-checkout, hair tied back, no makeup, holding a bag of coffee beans. For a second, it felt like the world pressed pause again, same as before. Hi, I said too softly. She turned. And for a moment, she froze, just like I did. Then she smiled, that quiet, careful smile she used when she didn't know if she was allowed to feel something. Hey, she said. You look good. So do you. Your friend told me you've been busy, she said. Said you got a new job? I nodded. Yeah. Trying to keep my hands busy. That made her laugh, the kind that breaks tension without meaning to. Still fixing things? Not everything can be fixed, I said. Her eyes softened, not with pain, but with understanding. The kind of understanding that means you've made peace with what can't be undone. She hesitated, then asked, Do you ever think about that night? All the time, I admitted. But not in the way you think. Her brow furrowed slightly. I think about what it taught me, I said. That sometimes, what we need from someone isn't forever. It's just a reminder we're still capable of feeling something honest. She looked at me for a long time, really looked the way she used to. Then she exhaled, a quiet sound that felt like letting go. I'm glad it was you, she said finally. There wasn't anything else to say. She walked past me toward the exit, the soft clink of her keys fading into the sound of automatic doors. I stood there for a while, not sad, not relieved, just still. Some stories don't end with goodbye. They end with understanding. Because sometimes the right person comes at the wrong time, and still changes everything. Speech Balloon, did you enjoy the story? Red Heart, what did you feel when they saw each other again? Backhand index pointing down, tell me in the comments, and let me know what kind of story you'd like to hear next.